Hey everyone, we're back with another lesson in continuing education. I'm Minister James Moss, and we're in the book of Acts. We're in chapter 16, and we're covering verses 11 through 15 in this video. This one is entitled, Lydia of Philippi Believes in Jesus. All right, so we're going to get right to it. In response to the Macedonian call, Paul and his associates immediately boarded a ship at Troas and sailed across the Aegean Sea, landing at Neapolis, the port city for Philippi. Acts 16 highlights the stories of three individuals who became believers through Paul's ministry in Philippi. Lydia, the influential businesswoman, the demon-possessed slave girl, and the jailer. The gospel was affecting all strata of society, just as it does today. So we're going to jump right in. All right. Therefore, loosing from Troas, we came with the straight course to Samothracia, and the next day to Neapolis, and from thence to Philippi, which is the chief city of that part of Macedonia, and a colony, and we were in that city abiding certain days. And on the Sabbath we went out of the city by a riverside where prayer was wont to be made, and we sat down and spake unto the women which resorted thither. And a certain woman named Lydia, a seller of purple of the city of Thyatira, which worshipped God, heard us, whose heart the Lord opened, that she attended unto the things which were spoken of Paul. And when she was baptized in her household, she besought us, saying, If ye have judged me to be faithful to the Lord, come into my house and abide there. And she constrained us. All right, so here we go. Lydia basically opens her house up to the apostles. The travelers made their way across the upper portion of the Aegean Sea from Troas to Samothrace, then on Neapolis, the port city for Philippi. From Neapolis, Philippi was a 10-mile journey inland. Philippi was a major city of the district, although it was not the capital. With mountains on every side, and its port city of Neapolis on the Aegean Sea, Philippi had originally been a strategic site in the Greek Empire. Gold had been discovered at Mount Pangaeum to the west. Mount Pangaeum to the west, tempting settlers from the Aegean island to Thasos to seize the area. They founded a city near the site of Philippi, naming it Crinides, meaning spring, for the spring-fed marshlands in the valley. When Philip II of Macedon ascended the throne of the Greek Empire, he captured the city, which was about 357 BC, enlarged and strengthened it, and gave it his name. Philip used the yield of the gold mines to outfit his army. In 168 BC, the Romans conquered Macedonia. The mountain's gold was exhausted, and the city declined. On the plains surrounding the city, Augustus defeated Brutus and Cassius. In 42 BC, Augustus gave the city the status of a Roman colony to celebrate his victory. A colony was considered part of Rome itself. Its people were Roman citizens, had the right to vote, were governed by their own senate, and had Roman laws and the Latin language. Later, the city received the right to the law of Italy, giving it many privileges and immunities, most significantly immunity from taxation. Philippi was also a garrison city with a Roman garrison stationed there to keep it secure. The Philippians were proud of their Roman heritage and standing. Philippi also boasted a fine school of medicine. Luke may have attended the medical school in Philippi. Later, Paul would write a letter to the church he started in this city, the book of Philippians. The letter is personal and tender, showing Paul's deep friendship with the believers there. The ministry in Philippi would be significant. The positive response to the gospel in this city, as described in the next few verses, was likely the reason for the missionary team remaining there for several days. Verse 13, inscribed on the arches outside the city of Philippi was a prohibition against bringing an unrecognized religion into the city. This may have been the reason for the prayer meeting being held outside the city on a riverbank. 10 Jewish males were necessary in a location to establish a synagogue. It appears there was no synagogue in Philippi, forcing Paul and his companions to search for the seekers of God elsewhere. They supposed that some people met for prayer at a location by the river, and they did find and speak with some women who had gathered for prayer. Jews typically gathered by rivers for prayer when a local synagogue was not available. Paul's first evangelistic contact in Macedonia was with a small group of women. Paul never allowed gender or cultural differences to keep him from preaching the gospel. He presented the gospel to these women, and Lydia, an influential merchant, believed. This opened the way for ministry in that region. In the early church, God often worked in and through women. Verse 14, Lydia was a merchant of expensive purple cloth, a valuable and expensive material often worn as a sign of nobility or royalty. Lydia may have been a wealthy businesswoman. She was obviously a person of means, since she had guest rooms and servants. Greek women of Lydia's day held elevated status and were able to conduct business and hold honorary public titles. Thyatira was a city known for its commerce, so Lydia may have brought her business to Philippi from there. Lydia was a worshiper of God. This is similar to the almost technical description of Gentiles who were not official proselytes to Judaism, but who did worship the God of Abraham. Lydia was sincerely seeking the Lord, and the Lord was about to meet her. God was at work, for he opened her heart to respond. Verse 15. After Lydia's conversion, After Lydia's conversion, she was baptized, along with her other members of her household. The same words are used to describe other conversions in Acts. Cornelius in chapter 10, verse 24 and 44, the Philippian jailer in chapter 16 and 31, and Crispus in chapter 18 and 8. The other members of Lydia's household may have included servants as well as children. It is assumed, of course, that only those who truly had come to believe in Christ were baptized. As is commonly the case, however, the Lord may have reached whole families through the salvation of one of the members who shared the good news with the other family members. Lydia's sincerity and the genuineness of her conversion appear in her invitation to the missionaries to use her house as their home base while in Philippi. Lydia urged the travelers to stay at her home. All right, so this is Lydia of Philippi. I mean, for those of you who attend church, you are familiar with her story. For those of you who may not have heard of her, she, as it tells you here, a very prominent businesswoman, and she kind of had the market on purple clothing. And purple, for those of us who know a little bit about history, purple has always been the color of royalty, to represent royalty. All right, so that tells you that her clientele was high-end clientele, royalty, people with money. You know, purple wasn't just sold to anyone. All right. Until next time, God bless you. God keep you, and thank you for supporting this ministry and these videos. And always continue to keep studying.